This is part 2 to the science of the spider silk biopolymer. Spider silk can aggregate, meaning it can clump together, and this allows it to form the long fibers that spiders use to spin their webs. And as it turns out, spiders, to prevent it from prematurely aggregating, they store it in a protein nanoparticle. And this nanoparticle is in the structure called a micelle, where the water-loving portions of the protein are stored on the outside, and the water-hating regions are stored on the inside. And this allows them to store really high concentrations of this protein. This basically allows them to store a bunch of spidroin, and when they're ready, they can then cause it to aggregate. And it aggregates through a combination of things. One is the shear forces. So they basically have a sac or gland that stores this protein, and as it goes through a narrow channel, it causes those micelles to undergo a bunch of shear forces. And those shear forces, in combination with changes in the pH and other modifications, will start to cause the spidroin micelles to kind of fall apart and arrange into these fibrous structures. Researchers have been looking into how the spiders do this and using it to study other proteins. And not only that, they've been using these proteins to figure out how to make other really strong, lightweight, or materials with other really interesting properties. But before I talk about those properties, I need to explain this graph right here. This is a stress-strain curve. And by looking at a bunch of different regions on this graph, you can get a lot of information about a material's mechanical properties. For example, if you look at the slope in the linear region of a stress-strain curve, that tells you the Young's modulus. Or if you look at where a material will start to decline, that gives you its ultimate strength or its yield strength, where it no longer will elastically deform. And I'm explaining this to compare spider silk to the material properties of other materials. Different parts of a spider's web is composed of different types of silk, and these different types of silk all have different mechanical properties. For example, the silk on the outside is more structural. It's a lot more tough, and it has a lot higher tensile strength than some of the stuff in the center that's more sticky and it's more stretchy. In this one paper I found, researchers tabulated the different properties of different types of spider silk. And they not only compared different spider silks, they compared different biomaterials with similar properties, or would be used in similar applications. And you can see how these spider silks compare. Because these materials exhibit extraordinary toughness, if you just compare this one column compared to even things like steel,